Of rhinos could not get worse. The Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife, Najib Balala, sank a record low, telling conservationists to go to hell for asking questions over the botched translocation. The CS attracted so much criticism that he apologized for the remark, but the damage was already done. The translocation of the rhinos took place at a time when the Kenya Wildlife Conservation did not have a board of directors. The previous board had been out of office for 3 months when the translocation exercise began. According to the chairman of the previous board, that is Dr. Richard Leakey, the translocation had been cancelled 3 times in the past over fodder and water concerns. The preliminary report showed that the rhinos died due to salt water poisoning. And just in case you missed it, here is that unfortunate remark by the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife, Najib Balala. Let's listen in.
In the issues of rhinos, I am going to be right. I am going to stand with what is right. These side shows of nobody has appointed me. It's only Uhuru Kenyatta who has appointed me. So they can go to hell. I can tell them that. Yeah? So I don't want to comment about rhinos now, but I can tell them to go to hell. Uhuru Kenyatta is the only one who has appointed me here. And he knows I have the capacity to run the wildlife docket. And nobody is going to intimidate me. I'm going to do what is right. And this is an agenda they want to destroy KWS so they can be able to take over these parks and start using emotions of international people to raise funds for their lifestyle that is not accountable in this country. I'm going to stop it once and for all.
Of course, the Wildlife and Tourism CS made apologies today while appearing before the National Assembly Committee on Environment. So tonight on the show, I shall be speaking to journalist Patrick Gadara, lawyer Benson Ocheng. I shall also be talking to conservationist Mordecai Ogadon Phone from Nanyuki. But before we hear from them, let me bring in our lead reporter, Sophia Onuna, who spoke to the Cabinet Secretary in question, that is Najib Balala, earlier today. Let's listen in.
A man who has come under sharp focus over the last couple of days over sentiments he made. Go to hell. This after 10 rhinos died. Is joining me tonight. CS Tourism and Wildlife, Najib Balala. Thank you, sir, for making time for us. Let's begin with a comment you made. To hell with them. It appeared you were clear about who you were talking about.
Certainly.
Who was this? Or who are this?
Well, first of all, when this 10 rhinos died, we are all saddened and we are all agonizing what has happened. And that's why I instituted an inquiry team. They clearly told me what has happened. So what I did, I acted on recommendation of the inquiry team. But then when you see people after your blood, people who insult you and abuse you, from you to your family, you must get angry. The way they get angry on rhinos and anything else, I'm a human being. I get angry. And I told those individuals who are going personal to stop it.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean I was telling the members of parliament, no. I've been a member of parliament before.
Some former KWS board members, perhaps, because you talked about emotional KWS people who want funding from international quarters.
No, I didn't even mention KWS. I said there are people somewhere hiding under this who wants to weaken and destroy KWS.
So who are these people who want to weaken and destroy KWS?
And those people are the ones who literally trying to aggravate the situation. The situation is 10 rhinos died. We need to address the situation. Identify what has gone wrong, correct the situation, and whoever is culpable, take action on them. And
KWS, you're saying, is being manipulated by people behind them?
Well, I didn't say KWS.
You said people behind KWS.
No, I said people outside KWS.
Okay.
People outside KWS who do not want to see a successful KWS. And that's why I said KWS will work to strengthen it and not to weaken it, because KWS have a mandate, which is the Constitution and in the Act, and I as a minister are going to protect that interest.
Yeah. Do you understand where Kenyans were coming from with the anger? You say, go to hell, I am only accountable to President Kenyatta. President Kenyatta was not born president. He was elected by the people of Kenya. His mandate to even have you as CS is from the people of Kenya. So many felt like you were just, condescending, arrogant, saying, to hell with you. I only respond to Uhuru Kenyatta. Do you not see the sting of that comment?
I think you are now changing the equation because I am known to be a very humble man and I've done my job with dedication and passion. And I know my job. I'm an experienced minister. Mm-hmm. So when somebody goes and poke me and goes personal against me and think I don't know my job, I'm only good at wearing bow ties. That is what the insults we will get. And more than that, yeah? And those are individuals. It's not an institution. It's not parliament. It's not the people of Kenya. Because people of Kenya, I respect them and they respect me. And I, being a human being like you and them and everybody else, the way you can get angry, I have a right to get angry.
But many would imagine your experience would have given you a thick skin. It's part of the job. The president gets insulted all the time. Imagine if all the time you told Kenyans, go to hell.
Sophie, you're a human being as well. Even the president gets angry. Even you get angry. And everybody gets angry. And then you realize, no. And that's why I said, I didn't mean to tell the people of Kenya to go to hell. I didn't mean to tell parliamentarians where they made a statement separately, which I didn't know, to call me to meet them, to go to hell. But my anger was positioned to individuals who have gone beyond the line. And as much as we can have thick skin, as much also we are human beings.
Let me then put this to you straight. Look into this camera, because many Kenyans are offended, hence that backlash on social media, because you said you're only accountable to Uhuru Kenyatta who nominated you. Do you then take account that it's because of the people of Kenya that you're in the office you hold and that you would give an apology to them now watching? Because that was before Parliament earlier, so let's hear.
Well, I have apologized to good people of this country and to Parliament, and I've told them I didn't mean them. I meant the people who hurt me more deeply personally. The people of Kenya have not hurt me. I serve here on the assumption of the people of Kenya. The government is serving on the people of Kenya. But an individual, one or two, who go beyond the line, and this is why we should be careful. We are also human beings. We have the right to get angry.
But you do realize you're also accountable to those people of Kenya, right? Even the ones who will insult you and hurt your feelings.
Yes, but we have to have mutual respect. I'm accountable to everybody in Kenya. Everybody, including the ones who are insulting me. But also remember, I'm a human being like them. I have feelings like them, and I have a right to get angry like them.
All right. Let's talk about the rhinos. The immediate former board, KWS, said they had given a firm no on translocation off of the saline nature of the water, which was poisonous, literally, and also the environment that they'd found was not conducive. The question is, once this decision to translocate was made, did you have contrary information to what the initial board and the committee under conservation had found?
First of all, I didn't even know that the board had an issue. That's the first place. These are operational issues. The operations of KWS are handled by management, given a policy direction by the board. The board gave a policy direction to engage WWF, engage with them, get funding, and also facilitate translocation to Tsavo. And they approved the Tsavo Rhino Sanctuary. Then there's the technical issues came up and said, water and vegetation. If you check this, please go ahead. Technical team is appointed. There's a steering committee led by specialist scientists. They're supposed to tick the box. Salt water is there? If it's yes, no. Vegetation, if it's bad, no. Did they check that? They're supposed to have done that. And then advise the Director General. The Director General will write to the PS. The PS will forward that invitation to me. I don't verify, has the process being looked into or not. I don't do those jobs.
So are you then saying now that you are not aware of the finding that the water in the new location was poisonous?
When the approval comes in to me to attend, it is not at my level to verify are the boxes being ticked. It is now the professional body, which is led by a national steering committee for relocation, which has a scientist, a veterinary, everybody else. They're the ones who will advise the Director General of KWS, that everything is intact, we are ready to go, invite a chief guest. The Director General will send a letter that everything is okay, send a letter to the PS informs me, I give them the date, we agree, and we move. That's how it was done. And that's exactly, even this issue about there was water, there was EIA, there was not approval, is not true. Because I was not even aware at that level. Until when it has happened, then here I asked, did the board approve? They said yes. Let me see the minutes. I was given the minutes. I saw there was conditional approval. Yes. Did you check the water? According to the people who were on the line, they're supposed to have checked. They said, yes, we did some tasting, and it was higher, but it was okay. How do you do tasting and you see pH levels are higher, and you proceed? So we identified in the inquiry that these are the people who would have checked thoroughly, appreciate the pH levels, and said no to it. But they went and misled the Director General. The Director General innocently went and sent invitation, and we appeared in a ceremony.
And the Director General knew of these findings of the board that was in place even earlier. Of the 3 times they had said no to this. So that is harsh to just demote the Director General as opposed to take more disciplinary action, isn't it?
So why didn't I take serious disciplinary action on the Director General? There was a change of the structure. There was a name of Director General. And then there were 2 new structures created. A position called the Chief Operational Officer, and also an advisor to the Director General. So technically, when I challenged the Director General, it says, literally, these operations are handled between the COO and the advisor and the team. Theirs is only security, and his is just to forward documents to us. And that's why, if you look at my statement, even the investigation team said the confusion was created by these 2 new positions created by the board, illegally, as well as I have a report from USAID and PwC to show that the interference of the structure and the command hierarchy was the one that created the confusion of disorganization.
They were created after the fact. So you'd imagine this person who was there before.
No, created before. All these positions were created before I came.
But before this person's duties were changed, or at least there were different levels created, that particular individual knew of the reports of the initial board. And so you'd imagine they would, despite roles being changed, clarify issues.
When I challenged this team, they said they were misled in terms of the final presentation to us by the research team. That's why when the investigating team went, interviewed everybody, wrote statement to all of them, and it was analyzed that it is the 6 names that were technically directly involved to have checked, and that's why action was taken on the 6 names.
So 3.5 months, KWS without a board in place, and many would assume had there been a board, some of these issues would have been picked out earlier. Did you not see that as an issue as opposed to instructions coming directly from the ministry?
Actually, there's no instruction from the ministry. We have no role whatsoever. KWS is autonomous, yes, and it can do their own things as far as there is a process and operational procedure to work. They work. They don't refer to the ministry at all. What they come to the ministry is when they come for their budget approval and forwarding to Treasury. This is when they come. And if they want us to come and endorse them on their projects, that's how we go. That's exactly our role. We have no role of directing translocation. We have no role to verify have they done it right or wrong. We have no role whatsoever.
But why not have a board in place before such an important task is undertaken?
My friend, it expired on the 17th of April. There's no magic of delaying a board appointment to 3 months, even 1 year. There's no magic. Government has its own processes to appoint. These are institutional appointments. They need to go through vetting. They need to go through processes of consultation until they are appointed. So now we are concluding. Friday, the president will announce all the names. So that is what the process is. We are not going to be pushed by anybody that because the person has been not appointed again, to be pushed, we said, because there was a vacuum. There's no vacuum. In government, there's no vacuum. I've been a minister for 13 years.
So you think there are some people trying to have their way?
Well, tell Mr. Leakey, it doesn't have to be him to be the chairman. Tell tell Mr. Leakey, he has served KWS 3 times. Yeah? So he should leave KWS. We will manage it for him.
Right. Finally, we have a member of the House in the UK who resigned off of being late to proceedings in the House. There have been many people calling for your resignation. We've lost a rare species in the country. That notwithstanding, we saw the debacle around rugby, the pulling off of their financing or sponsorship, if you like, the firing of their coach was later reinstated. You look at countries like Rwanda, you have Arsenal wearing Visit Rwanda, the kind of efforts they're going to that. So there are those who are looking at you and the office you hold and saying, why should he hold that office? Shouldn't he resign already? What do you tell those people?
It's unfortunate. That will not happen because it is not the proper procedure to do. The proper procedure to do, I have been a very effective Minister of Tourism. I've brought this tourism to the best records of this country. I have the passion and the commitment to continue and also to serve the wildlife sector. The blunder that was done in terms of translocation of wildlife, animals.
It's more than a blunder, sir.
It's a major blunder. It's a major blunder. Yeah? Translocation of endangered species by people who actually took their jobs lightly. That's why I said I took action. I presented to the chair, and the board next week will be in place. They'll be reviewing all that. Further actions will be taken.
But either way, they are dead. You don't consider resignation?
Why should I? I haven't been involved, I haven't instructed, I haven't played a role, I haven't killed.
The buck stops with you.
The buck does not stop with me in terms of operations. The people whose operations responsibility was supposed to stop, they took the responsibility and we are dealing with them.
Are you nervous with the looming reshuffle as we hear?
Well, I thought already the reshuffle has happened. I don't think...
There may be another one, so...
Well, you know, these jobs, we just hear them, and whenever we are given, we accept them. I didn't know I was going to be given wildlife. I got it. I said, thank God.
So if it comes, it comes.
It comes. And there's life after ministry, by the way. Yes. Okay. There's life after politics. Sawa.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Always a pleasure.
Good.
Thank you very much, Sophia, for that. That is Sophia Onuna interviewing the CS for Tourism and Wildlife. Najib Balala was finding himself in some sort of a hot soup after that comment he made yesterday. So from that interview, it seems that the Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary is telling off former KWS chairman, that is Richard Leakey, over the rhinos tragedy. But Leakey himself released another statement last week. We're going to get those infographics shortly for you on the screen on how his board had stopped the real translocation 3 times in the past. There you go. The statement is said 3 attempts for translocation in 3 years were made. Former KWS board expressed opposition. The KWS management was given had given a firm no then. The statement continues saying that no vegetation to sustain rhinos at Tsavo. That is one of the reasons they cited earlier. And concern of available and safe water at Tsavo was also raised at that moment. And the statement continues. At that moment, Richard Leakey says that there was no serving board at KWS. The board term expired on April 17th, 2018. No functional board at KWS for 3 months after that. And weighted decisions left to Ministry of Tourism. Ministry decisions on discipline contrary to laws on KWS operations. As from that interview with Sophia Onuna, of course, we've had the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism exonerating himself from that statement or from the development that happened in Tsavo. We've seen a total of 11 rhinos die. Of course, he did mention that KWS is autonomous and that the Ministry of Tourism have no role of translocating these animals. Of course, there are a lot of burning questions on this issue. Tonight in studio, once again, I have journalist Patrick Gadara, lawyer Benson Ucheng. I shall also be talking to Mordecai Ogada, who is a conservationist. He's going to join in the conversation by way of phone. But first, good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to the program.
Good evening.
So, Gadara, let me begin with you. I'm sure this is a matter that you've already made a lot of comment on, especially on social media. You've had the interview there by the CS Tourism, and today, while appearing before the National Assembly Committee on Environment, Balala said that he will only leave office if the appointing authority, that is the presidency, asks him to do so. Your reaction to that first?
Well, I think that the interview with Balala, especially the one we just had with Sophia Wanuna, was pretty atrocious. His comments, in essence, he's telling us he doesn't have a job, or he has a job with no work involved. That to say that, for example, that it's only the people dealing directly with translocations who are responsible, kind of understates what the role of the ministry is in overseeing KWS. You know, and he's quite happy to take the credit when things go right. Mm-hmm. You know, he was there to take the pictures. You know, we all remember that. Mm-hmm. You know, but when things go wrong, he's very quick to say, "No, it has nothing to do with me. I'm just, you know, sort of a flower girl, you know, over there." So I think for me that it's a complete and utter abdication of responsibility on his part. KWS has been troubled for a very, very long time, and I'm sure we'll get into that. You know, and lots of time we've seen the ministry come in. You know, in fact, even in his interview just now, we had him say, when he was telling Leakey to stay away, that he's not going to get a job, then he says, "We'll manage KWS." You know, so it's not the case that the ministry has nothing to do with this. I think Sophia was quite right when she said the buck stops with him, you know, and he should take responsibility for that.
Yes, we're going to talk about the board shortly, because it seems the previous board and the CS had some sort of a bad blood. We're going to probe that matter further. But let me bring in Lawyer Benson into this conversation. Wakili, you've seen the development there. Do you agree with Gadara that the buck stops with the CS, or you also agree with the CS that the KWS is autonomous and that the ministry does not have any kind of control over them?
Well, thanks, Ibrahim. Definitely the buck stops with the minister in charge of the docket. And I think it's very clear that the minister was contradicting himself all the way. He takes responsibility to discharge certain officers of KWS. Of course, we can talk about that, whether it is procedural or not. And definitely he was there to take the credit when this activity was underway. When it is too hot and he can't sustain the heat in the kitchen, he basically wants to jump out of it. But what is happening, or what the minister did, is definitely out of order and is symptomatic of an attitude and the kind of contempt that public officials entrusted with public duty in this country have grown used to. I think it runs counter to Chapter 5, it runs counter to good governance, and I wish the minister could just face Kenyans, even as Sophia was asking him. He could just face Kenyans and look at them in the camera and say, "I'm very sorry, I take responsibility for this, we will get to the deepest root of it." And I think it's also, Kenyans are very much in order to ask that he takes personal responsibility for what happened. I hope we'll get to a time when public officials will understand that they hold those offices at the behest of the people of Kenya.
Of course, we're going to probe this matter even further, especially now that the minister concerned has exonerated himself. He has distanced himself from the deaths of those 11 rhinos. And by the way, there's one more rhino that was killed today at the Nakuru National Park. We'll continue with this conversation right on the big story. We're going to take a very short break. But when we come back, we'll still have a lot for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.